Hello there, and as usual, I'm Aaron from LastStandGamers, and welcome to episode 24 of Space Engineers. So, there was a very exciting patch. I'm always saying this, but this one has explosive warheads, so how much more exciting can we actually get? So, let's actually have a look at them. They actually look like the mine object. Let's just have a look at this one here. They look like this. So basically the mine object that was in the game before, now they're surrounded in this sort of casing. So you can mount them on other blocks and they look pretty damn decent. And there's also a keypad. So perhaps in future you'll be able to interact with them, program them, maybe set them with some sort of set off time, more information like that. Like when you want them to detonate exactly. But for now, it just looks nice. Maybe like a time delay, so imagine you're storming a ship. You're in the engine room, you set one of these babies off, and off you go. So you probably want to look what the explosions are like. So we've got a small one there, and we've got a big one here. The small one just looks like the big one. So let's have a quick look at that one. Yeah, it is, without the keypad, of course. So let's actually have a look at this explosion. So, pretty interesting. You've also got the explosion. You're probably wondering why the explosion is in space. Well, you're going to feel the vibrations on your suit, so technically I'm going to allow there to be sound, because if this game didn't have sound it'd be pretty damn weird as well. Something else interesting, we no longer have a zoom noise that sounds like a strange drill on the assault rifle, so let's take a shot. Oh, let's miss. And the explosion radius, to be honest, looks pretty much the same between them, even though the smaller one is smaller. So let's do some testing. Okay, so up here we have a small explosive, and down here we have a big one. This first is one layer of armor, and then we'll continue moving up the more and more layers. So let's start with one layer. So one layer of armor with the big explosive is easily done, but will one layer with the other layer of armor, like for one with the small layer, be the same? Let's have a look. So no. The small explosive actually does less damage than the big one, as I expected, but the explosion itself looks just as big. So let's do the same here. So we can penetrate one layer of armor, but we couldn't probably get that any further with the smaller one. So let's try 2 blocks with the big one. So it easily does 2 blocks. Let's try the small one on 2 blocks. Let's try to aim. Let's aim in a bit low. Okay, so we can't penetrate 2 blocks with the small armor. Oh well, with the small actual explosive warhead. So let's try 3 blocks with the big one. So you can penetrate 3 blocks of armor. Now this is getting interesting. If we can penetrate 4 blocks, then that means most people's ships will easily be able to be penetrated, because I've never seen a ship any thicker than 4 layers of armor in any one given place. So let's try the small one. We know this is not going to penetrate, but it'll just be interesting to see. So there we go. Definitely nothing. It actually broke through a bit more this time. Maybe it's more of a random event. So let's actually try it on the 4 layer of armor. Okay. So what have we got here? So 3 layers looks like the maximum it can do. In this case, it's not penetrated that last layer, and that's pretty damn interesting. It's damaged it, but it's not penetrated it. So let's go on up. So if your ship happens to have 4 or 5 layers, it looks like you're pretty much safe. I would say 5 layers, because the 4th layer is pretty badly damaged. Let's check out the small explosive. We know this is not going to do anything. And there we go. So we've got the same penetration. So the smaller one does actually do less damage, and you can just imagine the effects of using these warheads in combination with a torpedo. So let's actually have a look at these torpedoes that I've been working on. So I've got the nice checkered ship, the optical illusion ship as we may call it. So we've got the warheads lined up in simple rockets. So this was the Mark Von 1 variant of design. I quickly noticed a flaw in it. I'll mention it in a moment once I've had a go at this target with it. So these are basically inertia based rockets, and we're going to get inside and put our machine gun away so we don't have any issues. So we've got the rockets there, they're strapped in my landing gear as usual. So we're going to adjust up, change angle, and we might need to relock some landing gears because Aaron's not been as precise as he probably should have been. So everything seems alright. We'll leave that one on one landing gear. So let's accelerate up. So we're going to need to get to a good speed, and then we can just let go and let these things fly into the target. So these should hit, the first zone should crumple, and we should see some pretty interesting effects. So let's release this thing now, and we should freeze. One of the missiles has not gone too well. pretty pleasing explosion. Pretty pleasing explosion. You can imagine someone's ship. You can imagine just moving around in these little fighters, and then just like, oh no, they've released the bombers, and then you see these massive big torpedoes. So I'll show you the problem I had with the Mark 1 variant of this thing. So if we get the assault rifle out, if you have a look here, you can actually see that these are actually exposed. So watch what happens. Say these caught an odd tracer fire or in a gunfight. You're pretty much damaging your ship. So look at that, we've lost a wing, we could easily lose the other wing, and we're basically damaging our own ship. So what I've got here is the Mark II variant. The idea behind this one was it can stop small arms fire and protect the inner core of the torpedo, so let's try it out. And clearly, that doesn't work either, so any sort of impact on the outer shell will damage the torpedo. So what we'd really have to do is think about how we would protect these warheads. What would we do to put them inside? How would we protect them? Because if someone can shoot at one of these when you're trying to launch it, you may as well not have them because you'll be losing your ship. There's more chance they'll hit you and blow you up. But let's actually try one on that other target, eh? So we've got here. So we've learned that these warheads are very sensitive. Very, very sensitive. So this is the new version of this fighter, by the way. I've had to extend the engines so we can actually hit things or get up to maximum speed. So there we go. We release them. There goes the rockets. So there we go. We'd have to work out a way of some way of combining the big one, well, the big explosive with the small sort of explosives as well. But the problem is making them too big. So maybe these, I don't know. It seems a hard thing to use and possibly a challenge. But what about if I say, let's try splitting an asteroid in half? Would you be happy about that? I mean, all that nonsense about cool guys don't look at explosions. Absolute bollocks. If you don't look at the explosion, you get a load of shrapnel in your back. Or you don't even know when it's going to go off. So let's have a quick look at this. So what I've done is I've put a ring around this asteroid. We'll stop this thing here. Well, it can continue flying. Obviously, since that's the extended engine one, it's not really sorted its velocity out. So what we're going to try to do is split this asteroid in half. It might take a few explosive rounds, but I've never seen an asteroid actually be completely split in half. I wonder what happens when this becomes two entities. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fire this first one, and then I'm going to keep chopping it and cutting between the clips, and we'll see what happens. So here we go. Let's watch this chain reaction. Right, so we've not actually done it, but we've made quite a good indent in making it. So we've got this nice cut going. So I'll cut back in a moment. Right, so this is the second detonation now. So we're nearly split in half. We've just got a bit more to go. So we've got a little bit further. We've almost got like an apple sort of core sort of effect, but it does look pretty cool. You could build a base on these outskirts, like some rim thing now. But let's finish this job. Right, I'm hoping this is the last one. So all that remains between this asteroid is that thin little piece. And it doesn't seem the assault rifle's going to do it. So it's going to be one last station, like so. And this is the official first ever split of an asteroid. Well, someone else might have done it, but doing it with explosives. Let's do this. There we go. We split an asteroid in half. So we've got room for a base. Pretty badass. People talking about having a ship and an asteroid. Maybe you could do something like this. I've got one last thing to show you. So, what happens if you just happen to be taking, how to say, a nice gentle drive in your new ship, and you happen to come across, oh, you hit an asteroid. No, that happens as well. But that was not what I was trying to prove. I was trying to show you if you actually hit a minefield. So I built a minefield here. So with the new special blocks, you see them above us. So what happens if you don't see them because you pop into them and you drive yourself into a minefield? I keep probably hitting myself on this asteroid. Right, so we're going to drive into it. So, as you can tell, it is not the place you want to be. So, as we stop the ship, if we can, just have a look at the damage. You can tell that is absolutely incredible. Imagine if some guy decided to defend his base with a minefield of these things, and you didn't spot them when you were coming across them with your invading army. I don't think you'd have many ships, to be honest, but when we're actually talking about placing these, I'll show you. You basically control V them, like so, and they actually can lock into places in the air, so you can't actually throw them when they're on their own, so it's pretty interesting. You can build yourself nice little minefield arrangements. So I'd like to thank you for watching, guys, and be careful when you're using mines, especially around your neighbours, and I'll see you next time.